Have you ever wondered how a simple, orphan girl became the queen who changed the destiny of a nation? A story hidden in the pages of Scripture. A story of courage, faith, and divine timing. She was not born into royalty. She was not chosen for power. But when her people were marked for destruction, she became the voice that turned silence into salvation. This is the untold story of Esther, the queen who risked everything for her people. When the world was silent, Esther spoke, and heaven listened. Welcome to this video. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most powerful and inspiring stories in the Bible, the story of Esther. If you love true stories of faith, courage, and divine destiny, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. With that being said, let's dive into the full story. Long ago, in the ancient kingdom of Persia, during the reign of King Ahasuerus, also known as Xerxes, there lived a young Jewish girl named Hadassah, known to the Persians as Esther. She was an orphan, raised by her cousin Mordecai, a man of faith who quietly served within the royal city of Shushan. At this time, the Persian Empire stretched from India to Ethiopia, the greatest empire the world had ever known. King Ahasuerus was powerful, but also proud. One day, the king held a great feast for all his princes and nobles, a celebration that lasted for 180 days. In his pride, he called for his queen, Vashti, to come and display her beauty before the guests. But Queen Vashti refused. This defiance enraged the king. In his fury, he removed Vashti from her royal position, setting in motion a divine plan that no one could see coming. When the anger of the king cooled, he missed Vashti, but his counselors advised him to find a new queen. And so, a royal decree was made. Beautiful young women from all provinces were to be brought to the palace. Among them was Esther. As the royal search began, the most beautiful young women from across the vast Persian Empire were brought into the citadel of Shushan. Each girl went through months of preparation, 12 long months of beauty treatments, perfumes, and oils before they could stand before the king. Among them was Esther, humble, quiet, and radiant. Though her beauty was unmatched, it was her spirit, gentle yet strong, that made her stand out. But Mordecai, her guardian, had warned her, "Do not reveal that you are a Jew. Keep your identity hidden for now." And Esther obeyed. Day after day, she found favor with everyone who saw her. Even Haggai, the keeper of the women, admired her grace and gave her the best of everything. When Esther's turn came to go before the king, she asked for nothing extra, only what was advised by Haggai. And when the king saw her, his heart was moved. Among all the women, none pleased the king like Esther. So he placed the royal crown upon her head, and Esther became Queen of Persia. But even in the palace, Esther never forgot who she was, or the faith that guided her. Meanwhile, outside the royal gates, her cousin Mordecai uncovered a secret plot by two guards who sought to kill the king. He warned Esther, who told the king in Mordecai's name, and the plot was stopped. This act was recorded in the royal chronicles, but no reward was given. Not yet. Soon after, a man named Haman rose to power in the kingdom. The king promoted him above all other princes and commanded that everyone bow before him. And everyone did, except one man, Mordecai. When asked why he refused, Mordecai simply said, "I am a Jew." Haman's pride turned to rage. He was not content to punish Mordecai alone. He wanted to destroy all the Jews throughout the entire Persian Empire. So he went before the king and said, "There is a certain people scattered throughout your provinces who keep themselves separate. Their laws are different from those of every other people. It is not in your best interest to tolerate them." The king, not knowing the truth, agreed. He gave Haman his royal ring, the symbol of power, and ordered that the Jews be destroyed on the 13th day of the 12th month, Adar. In that moment, the fate of an entire nation was sealed. Letters were sent across the empire, announcing death for every Jew, young and old, man and woman. When Mordecai heard this, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth and ashes, and cried out in the streets of Shushan. When Esther heard of Mordecai's mourning, she was deeply troubled. She sent messengers to ask what had happened. Mordecai sent her the decree and said, "Do not think that you will escape in the king's palace any more than all the other Jews. For if you remain silent at this time, deliverance will arise from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. And who knows, if perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this." Those words pierced Esther's heart. For days she wrestled in silence. She knew that to go before the king without being summoned was punishable by death, unless he extended his golden scepter. But then, with faith greater than fear, she sent her reply, "Go, gather all the Jews in Shushan and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. I and my maidens will do the same, and then I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish." 3 days of fasting passed in silence. The city of Shushan lay heavy under the weight of fear. And on the 3rd day, Esther rose. She clothed herself not in mourning, but in her royal robes, gold threads shimmering faintly against her trembling hands. With her heart steady in faith, she walked toward the inner court of the king's palace, where her destiny waited. As she stepped into the chamber, the courtiers froze. No one dared interrupt, for to approach the king uninvited was death. But Esther did not stop. Her steps echoed on the marble floor until she stood before the throne. And in that silent, breathless moment, the king lifted his eyes and saw her. Time itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, slowly, the king stretched out his golden scepter toward her. "You may live," he said. "What is it, Queen Esther? What is your request? Even if it is half of the kingdom, it shall be granted to you." Esther bowed her head. Her voice was calm, but her heart thundered. "If it pleases the king," she said softly, "let the king and Haman come today to a banquet that I have prepared." The king agreed, and that very day, Haman and the king dined with the queen. At the banquet, the king once again asked, "What is your request, Queen Esther? Ask, and it shall be done." But Esther, guided by wisdom and patience, replied, "If it pleases the king, come again tomorrow with Haman to another banquet, and there I will reveal my request." Haman left that first banquet filled with pride. He boasted to his friends and his wife, "I alone was invited by the queen to dine with the king. Yet all this means nothing to me, as long as I see Mordecai sitting at the gate." And his wife said, "Build a gallows 75 feet high, and tomorrow ask the king to hang Mordecai on it. Then go with the king to the banquet and be joyful." Haman smiled, and the gallows were built. But that same night the king could not sleep. He ordered that the royal chronicles be read to him. And as the scrolls turned, the record of Mordecai's deed was found, how he had saved the king's life from assassination. "What honor has been done for Mordecai for this?" the king asked. "Nothing has been done," they replied. Just then, Haman entered the court, coming to ask permission to hang Mordecai. But before he could speak, the king said, "What should be done for the man the king delights to honor?" Thinking it was himself, Haman said, "For the man the king delights to honor, let him be dressed in the royal robe the king has worn, and let him ride the king's horse, with a crown upon his head. Let one of the king's nobles lead him through the city, proclaiming, 'This is what is done for the man the king delights to honor.'" The king smiled. "Excellent. Go quickly, take the robe and the horse, and do just as you have said. For Mordecai the Jew." Haman's heart stopped, but he could not refuse. That morning, the proud enemy of the Jews led Mordecai through the streets, shouting the very words meant for himself. When it was done, Haman covered his head in shame and ran home, humiliated and broken. That evening, the second banquet began. The air was thick with tension. The king and Haman reclined as Queen Esther stood before them. And once again the king said, "What is your petition, Queen Esther? It shall be granted you." Esther took a deep breath. Her voice trembled at first, then grew firm with divine strength. "If I have found favor with the king, and if it pleases him, grant me my life and the lives of my people. for we have been sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, killed, and annihilated." The king's face darkened. Who is he? Where is the man who would dare do such a thing? Esther turned her eyes slowly toward Haman. The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Haman's face drained of color. The king rose in fury and left the room. When he returned, he found Haman falling upon the couch where Esther was. "Will he even assault the queen while I am in the house?" the king thundered. And before Haman could plead again, one of the guards said, "Behold, the gallows that Haman built for Mordecai stands at his house." The king replied, "Hang him on it." And so Haman was executed on the very gallows he had prepared for Mordecai. The dawn that followed Haman's death was unlike any other in Shushan. The city, once heavy with fear, was now filled with whispers of relief, yet the decree of death still lingered in the air. Though the enemy was gone, his evil law remained, a law written in the king's name that could not be undone. Esther knew her mission was not yet complete. She once again entered the king's presence, uninvited, unafraid, and unwavering. Falling at his feet, she wept and pleaded, "If it pleases the king, let an order be written to overrule the letters that Haman devised to destroy my people." The king stretched out his golden scepter once more and said to Esther and Mordecai, "Write another decree in my name, as you see fit, and seal it with the king's ring, for no document written in the king's name can be revoked." So Mordecai, now robed in royal garments of blue and white, wrote a new decree. He sent letters by swift horsemen throughout the empire, from India to Ethiopia, giving the Jews the right to gather and defend themselves against anyone who sought to harm them. The couriers rode out quickly, spurred by the king's command. And when the decree reached the Jews in every province, a great cry of joy rose among them. Their mourning turned to dancing. Their sackcloth was replaced by gladness. For the God of Israel had once again turned death into deliverance. Then came the day appointed for destruction, the 13th day of the 12th month. Across the empire, those who hated the Jews prepared to attack. But instead, it was the Jews who triumphed. Empowered by the king's new decree, they rose in defense and defeated their enemies. No one could withstand them, for the fear of God and the favor of the king rested upon them. And in Shushan itself, 500 enemies fell that day, among them the 10 sons of Haman. The gallows that once symbolized death now stood as a monument of divine justice. When the king heard of the victory, he asked Esther, "What is your petition now, Queen Esther? It shall be granted." And Esther said, "Let the Jews in Shushan have one more day to defend themselves, and let Haman's sons be displayed upon the gallows." And so it was done. For 2 days the Jews triumphed in Shushan, and on the 3rd day they rested and celebrated, a feast of joy and victory. Mordecai declared that from that time forward, these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation as the Feast of Purim, a day when sorrow turned into joy and mourning into gladness. Mordecai became second in command to King Ahasuerus, great among the Jews and beloved by his people. And Esther, the orphan girl who once hid her identity, became the savior of her nation. Through her courage, faith, and wisdom, she changed the course of history. And the name of Esther still echoes through the ages as a symbol of divine purpose, of courage in silence, and of faith that turns fear into triumph. The story's message: even when God's name was never mentioned in the entire Book of Esther, His presence was everywhere, moving unseen, guiding every step, orchestrating every event. What man plotted for evil, God turned into good. And the same God who stood with Esther still stands with you today. Your story isn't over. Even when you don't see Him, He's working behind the scenes, turning your trials into triumphs. Because what God has written, no one can erase.